Welcome to Labor on the Job. Tonight we're going to be looking at the issues facing LIUNA Hod Carriers Local 36 here in San Francisco. It's one of the longest and oldest locals in the San Francisco and in the Laborers International. And joining us is the former business manager of the local, Alex Corwins. Alex, welcome to the show.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. Alex, why don't you talk about your local, where it came from, and the history of the local?
Well, our local was founded in the 1800s by Walter Mulholland. And the reason it got the number 36 is originally it had 36 members, and it was known as the Hod Carriers Benevolent Protective Association. And it's been in existence ever since.
And what exactly do Hod Carriers do?
They carry the cement for the bricklayers and for the plasters, and they mix the fireproofing today that's applied to the steel beams and things like that. It's pretty hard work. It's pretty physical.
And so it's been in continuous operation for many, many years.
Yeah, over 120 years.
And what is the tradition of your local? I mean, does it have a particular tradition?
Well, yeah, it's a very strong local. It's very united and very outspoken against any kind of takeovers by the international or by the district councils or any sort of oppression at all. They're one of the only locals that still negotiate their own contracts, and they have the highest wages for Hod Carriers in Northern California.
And how did that happen, that this local became a democratic, independent, and local that stood up to not only the employers but to the international?
Well, I think it had a traditional of leaders that were fairly, not that they were radical, but they were pretty democratic people, that everybody got to speak and everybody got a say. That was always the case when I was in there. And sometimes it wouldn't, sometimes the vote wouldn't go your way or it wouldn't go the other person's way, but there was never any fear of retaliation for speaking out in any way, shape, or form. And when I was in the business manager of the local, on several occasions, people would have issues that they wanted to talk about, and they weren't always issues that I felt were correct. But as being dues-paying members, I felt that they had the right to speak out on them, and that I should listen to them and I should hear them.
And you've taken up a struggle against non-union contractors, and in that struggle to keep the union strong, what have your experiences been?
In San Francisco and San Mateo counties, we have 93.4% market share percentage, which isn't bad. Now the residential, even in the residential, we have contractors that bid that work and are able to compete. Because see, there's a myth out there that residential construction is this and it's that. Who's kidding who? Homes are selling for $1 million. Wages haven't gone up in the construction industry on residential. The only thing that's gone up is the price of the housing. I think that, I believe they organized some workers in Las Vegas, and I think that they get $9 an hour. They're union laborers. And I don't think they get health benefits or pension.
Now this trend of organizing, and LIUNA has joined this Change to Win coalition. What do you think has happened to the unions in the last 20 to 30 years, and what has been the effect on your local and the labor movement?
Well, I think in general people aren't joining unions because they're tired of the atmosphere in which they're ruled. There's no democratic process for them. There isn't some, and there's some good unions out there. But I think when members don't have the right to vote on contracts, members don't have the right to elect their leaders or their officials, that it's all done by delegate votes.
You believe all officials, all officers and staff should be elected by the rank and file?
I believe that if the members pay you, the members should elect you, and no delegates should be in the way.
And what is happening in the labor movement as far as that kind of situation?
Well, I think I just think it's how all these unions are set up now, is that they have this bureaucracy where there's the international at the top, and then there's a buffer, a district council, and then the local unions. The local unions elect delegates that are seated at the district council that go to the international convention, and they're the high-paid leaders of the union. So the people at the bottom really don't get the representation they deserve. See, before in the old days, when contracts were negotiated by the individual unions, like 261 and the San Francisco laborers and that, when they negotiated their own contracts, they were much more prosperous because now they're dealing with 46 county contracts.
Now, the excuse me, the LIUNA has joined the Change to Win, and you've been to some of these Change to Win conventions. What's your experience with Change to Win?
I think that means they hit you over the head with a bigger stick. So what's wrong with Change to Win is, from what I see, it's all top down. And isn't Andy Stern in Change to Win?
I believe he's one of the leaders of Change to Win.
Yeah.
I mean, you were at this Change to Win organizing convention in Las Vegas. What happened at that convention? What were some of your experiences there?
Well, we had a couple of good, we had workshops and roundtables and that, and they were pretty good. And I think you heard General President O'Sullivan speak, and he's quite a speaker in that. And we went to the convention, and I believe they made a motion to pay 25 cents an hour into an organizing program, which I think will generate $96 million over a period of years, which is a great thing if people are organizing and people are really, getting people to join unions. But my experience, like this local that I just got out of, Local 270, the business manager there, Lujan, who caused the problems and caused all this separation amongst us, has 19 jobs, non-union, within 2 miles of his union hall. He has 3 organizers on staff, but he had them following me after I quit, and he had one write-in with Will Davis, on a permanent basis to keep an eye on him. So organizers were hired to organize, now became private detectives for Lujan to follow his opposition. And that's a sad state of affair for a labor movement. And then when you get a letter like I received from Brother O'Sullivan, where he states, that we were incompetent, is how I read that. And I have a letter here where Lujan was charged with several things, and Lujan was this, and Lujan was that, and they haven't done anything to stop Lujan. Lujan actually closed the union hiring hall and left several members in the street the other morning.
And you have a sign there from the
Yeah.
that was put up at the union hiring
Yeah,
hall?
I do. And our leadership is paid $400,000+ a year, and they couldn't get this sign down the first day.
So, I mean, they shut down your hall. And,
Brother Lujan he shut it down illegally. He shut down a union hiring hall of the membership that pays him.
I see. And did he ask permission, or did he get permission?
No, he didn't get
from
permission
anybody?
from the International, he didn't get permission from the district council, and he didn't get permission from the membership. He just took it upon himself as an act of retaliation against the only black employee he had, Will Davis. And this is a Lujan tactic. Sign and change the locks like sometime in the afternoon. Why didn't he take the stuff then? Because he was going to send it stolen.
Could be. Blame it on the people. Locked out of your own union hall.
Well, by a guy that's under investigation.
I'm Will Davis. Used to be the business manager since we merged with Local 270. I've been a member of 36 for at least 15 years. And what happened, Carlo Lujan called me down Friday.
Who is Carlo?
He's the business manager for Local 270. He called me down and asked me about bringing the dispatch book down, that he wanted to look through it. When I got there, it was a different story. It wasn't about the dispatch book. It was about me calling the International and letting them know that he was taking down stuff in the hall and the strange stuff he'd been doing to these members since we merged. And I got there, after he fired me, we came back up here that evening and we seen this on the door. And now the members can't get into the hall to sign in on the sign-in book. We don't have no one to police the jobs in the city to check for the members. So, he done locked us out of our own hall. That's not right. And we've been going through this problem with him for the last 8-9 months. Trying to get something done with him. It's nothing getting done. And it seems like to me we can't even get no help from our own International.
Now, you had a membership vote recently, and you wanted to end the merger. What happened at that meeting?
It was a unanimous decision that we leave the merger. Every member in that voted, and they had international rep there at the meeting, Rob Trinkle.
No hod carrier.
And, you know, they said, you know, it was announced that we leave. And it's just a retaliation back at the members. You know, you gonna have someone drive all the way to San Jose to go in and sign in on book, and the members from this local don't feel they're gonna get treated fair. And it's the truth, because they've been having problems out that local ever since, you know, he took over.
I went to the Union Hall down in San Mateo, and we all voted to leave that and go back to 36, get our hall back. And this is what happened.
So the business manager in San Jose, Lujan, is basically ignoring what you voted on.
Yes, yes, he did. And he don't like it, so we can't help that. We have to take care of our own.
Oh, the mistreated is just the way we getting treated, you know. He's not a high carrier because he do not know nothing about our work. And going out, doing the job, policing the job, checking the job, and everything. And it's leave from one thing to another. When you try to let him know what the members want, it's not what the members want, it's what he wants. And that's the reason he terminated me, really, and a couple other reasons, because I wasn't going to sell these members out just to keep a job with him. And that is the truth. When you can ask all these members in this local, you know, we take care of our jobs, and my members never had a problem out of me, because all of us work together as one for this union. And it's just a cop-out and a sellout that they will let him do this to us and come in here and shut this hall down, where these guys will have to drive over 60 miles just to go to San Jose for a job. And then we be getting dispatched out of this hall for over 30-some years.
Now, by policing the jobs, what does that mean as far as protecting your union and your members?
Well, that means we checking our work from other trades coming in, because, you know, if you don't have no one out there checking the job, the other trades will come in, they'll do your work, and, you know, you got a member calling. Ever since I've been here this morning, the phone been ringing, you know. So yeah, we standing on outside, you can hear the phone ringing, but Friday I supposed to went to a job, you know. They didn't send nobody out to that job to go out there and check the job out and see what the problem the members had. But, you know, after 11:30 when he fired me, you know, who's gonna go check the job? That means the members that's in this hall here that going on the out of work list, they don't have no one out there to check the jobs and make sure the right people is on the job. So, you know, that don't make sense to me why he would do this, shut this hall down. But I can understand it why, because it's vindictive. He's trying to get back at these members here, because these members stand up to him. Because he got his own members down in that local scared of him, and they will not say nothing to him because they're intimidated. Because they say something against Carlos Lujan, they not going to get a job out there. And I have been to job, and I had guys sit there and complain to me, you know, several times about how he do stuff. They're not going to say nothing because they come in there, they're going to feel intimidated. You can't run a union by intimidating the members. The members what make the union. You don't have a union hall and you're intimidating the members. The members going out, and everybody's got to make a living. Now he stopped these guys from making a living by shutting his hall down. It's a personal attack on these members, and it started back when Alex spoke out about the non-union painters that painted their union hall down, and the jackets made in China and other stuff going on around there that wasn't running right for that local. You know, when you speak out against him, this the results of it right here.
My name is David Limley, and I've been out of work for a few days now. I'm trying to sign in for the out of work list, and I can't sign in because the union hall is closed. I've been a member for over 10 years out of this hall, and I'm trying to sign in for work, and I can't.
So were you informed that this hall was going to be closed?
No, I was not. I was not contacted at all.
So what does that mean as far as your union?
I don't know. I'm trying to get it where I can sign in so I can get ready to go to work, but I can't do it. This hall's closed.
So you work in San Francisco. You need a hall in San Francisco.
Yes, we do. Definitely.
Is there a lot of work in San Francisco?
Yes, there is.
Good morning. My name's Alex Corns. I'm a former business manager at Local 36. And I worked for Lujan as his personal assistant up until January of this year, at which time I left when he was buying. He wouldn't do the right thing. He was using non-union contractors. He was buying products made in China. It just went from.
Why was he buying products made in China?
When I asked him and confronted him about it, he said it's just much cheaper to do business and buy the jackets. We can get these jackets for, I think it was $34, $24 in China, as compared to $45 in America. But I don't even think he put it out to bid. He just decided to buy it in China. He led a picket line, I heard, at Walmart in San Jose, and one of his members told me he shops there every Saturday. That's the kind of guy he is. He's currently under investigation from the Inspector General's office for some kind of salary thing, and he's failed to pass it 3 times in a union meeting. And anybody who opposes him, he gets rid of. He has 1 no vote on his executive board. It was a guy named Enrique Arguello. And he held a staff meeting, and he made every guy give him $45 to hire a detective to follow Enrique Arguello. And Will called me from the bathroom and said, "Shall I give him the money?" And I said, "By all means, give him it." And then we called the Inspector General and reported the incident immediately, that he was shaking down members in staff meetings to hire a detective to follow an e-board member that wouldn't support him.
Is that legal?
I don't believe so. And so at any rate, then he tried, when he found out that the IG knew about the detective, he tried to return the money last week. And he sent the money up in an envelope to Will, and Will made the guy sign for the envelope. We have a copy of it in the car. And so when Will made Mario Vergata sign for the $45 was to hire a detective, that was on Monday. And then he had a full-time business agent from then on in, riding with Will every day. And so what happened then was he brought Will in on Friday and fired Will. And the letter that he gave Will said, "You refuse to commit to my agenda." Not the union's agenda, his agenda. So Enrique Arguello spoke out, he's fired. Will Davis spoke out, he's fired. His e-board is all yes men, except for, a few guys. They're all yes men. And this is how Lujan operates. If you speak out against Lujan, he retaliates against you. We took a vote to leave in San Mateo. He tried everything he could to change the meeting around and be really, lied to the members. And I mean, he's even telling people I stole and all that, but he hasn't charged me with anything. So I've been here 34 years, and I've never been charged with anything. This union hall has been here 34 years. It's never been shut down. It's been open every day. We've never had any acts of violence around here until Lujan showed up. And Friday night we had a committee meeting across the street, and he ran one of our brothers over with a truck as he was attempting to flee, and all we wanted to do was talk to him. We knocked on the window and we said, "Hey, Carlos, why don't you come on out and talk to us?" We thought he was coming to attend the committee meeting, and it turned out he was burglarizing the office at 9:30 at night. He was leaving with the computer, him, Demas Cuevas, and Doug Lippy. And so we called the Daly City Police after he clipped our member, Brother Alfredo Alfaro, to lodge a complaint. There's the phone again. And at any rate, after that, when the police arrived, we couldn't figure out why he could hang the sign and change the locks at like 1:32 in the afternoon. He had a full-time agent in here that we actually offered the computer and everything to. We said, "You can take all this stuff out of here." See, because this was another lie that Lujan perpetrated on the membership. He passed a motion to get $5,000 to buy new computers for the Daly City office. And the Daly City office never got no new computer. He took Luis Rios' computer out of the San Jose office and sent it up here, and he couldn't get it working, and you never could access it. So there was always a problem with, Lujan and expenditures, and this guy, when he retired last year, and he had the local e-board buy him it looks like a Super Bowl ring, and then after he got the ring, he didn't retire. Anybody who opposes Lujan gets fired.
Now, the International has had a long problem of corruption or investigations, and they're supposed to be supervising these locals and the officers so they don't violate the laws. Has this been brought to the attention of the International?
It has, but, the United States Department of Justice, they're pretty useless. So is the International. I mean, if you look, Arthur Coya was banned from ever holding office, for corruption. He was the ex-general president of LIUNA. To this day, he still attends functions. To this day, he is paid an emeritus salary of over $200,000 a year and provided health and welfare benefits by these working men that unions halls closed this morning. That's the truth. We were told, we've had conversations with our regional manager, Rocco Davis, and he's also the assistant to the General President Terry O'Sullivan, one of the Change to Win people. And we've had conversations with him, and he says, well, you don't have a charter anymore, and you don't have a number anymore. You're going to have to hold a hearing to get it back. And I've went through the Constitution, and I can't find anything in the Constitution that says you have to hold a hearing. I believe that the International Union could give us a charter today, send Lujan a letter, send us a set of keys and open this hiring hall up and put these dues-paying members to work. That would be a real change to win and a real sign that they were running a clean shop. You know, we are in touch with Mr. Gao's office, who is the internal cleanup one, and we're going to hire a lawyer today to defend our members' rights. We believe they're in violation of Article 5 of the LMRDA Act. Members have the right to speak out against any union leader without fear of retaliation. In this case, members asked for a receipt for kickback money that Lujan had paid to hire a detective. He took a charter off this wall that was hanging there since 1913 and another one since 1936. He took these after the meeting. He took these last week. He only took them to spite us.
Anthony Fisher. Good morning. It's closed for right now?
Why?
But why, when will it be open? Why is it closed?
Call him again.
I'm gonna transfer this money.
Okay, it's only open for the agents, but
Not you, Mr. Fisher, but some of you guys been behaving very violent and
we're behaving. I'm sorry, sir, you had to experience that. I don't believe we're behaving violent right now. We just want access to our. All right, you don't have an explanation?
No, I have a police report, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, a police report.
That happened, so I'm not putting my agents in
He told me he closed it down before that.
So I hope you understand that.
All right, you have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. You know, running people to act violent against me, myself, and my agent.
So Alex was being violent, you say?
For now, and we're working with the police right now regarding an incident that we have, that we were attacked by Mr. Combs and Will Davis and some of the guys in there.
Okay, so do you know how long the hall in Daly City will be closed down?
Give me a couple of days, Mr. Boland, and I'm hoping that we settle this and we will continue working with you. Well, you're separated from Local 270.
All right, Mr. Lujan, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Alex Gordon was violent, he said, with him and his...
He just got the phone with one of our members, so I know he did.
We're calling to find out why the union office in Daly City is closed. And I think Carlos is in. Several brothers are trying to call him. The sign says, please call. And now he isn't answering the calls. We want to know why our union hall is closed. He says it's a police matter and something about violence. They haven't had any problems in this union hall over the last 34 years. We don't know what he's talking about. And we're kind of upset. Our members are unable to go to work. They're unable to earn a living, and they're being deprived by Carlos Lujan. It's a personal vendetta against our membership. It's not right, and we would like them to respond to us. You know, he has no right to do this to us, Maribel. This is horrible.
Why would he use non-union painters and buy jackets for the union made by non-union workers?
Well, that's a question we've been trying to find. He's saying it was a better price. He got a cheaper price. That's what he said. But, you know, you got union-paid members. You got union-paid members that working hard. Why don't we put that money back into the industry that's helping us out? You got shops around here that made in the United States, and, you know, there's union shops and everything. Why didn't you spend the money back in your craft? That's what I didn't understand, you know.
What was his response to that?
Well, he didn't have no response to me about it, you know. He responded one time about that. I take that back about, you know, they couldn't get the price on it. It was about the money. But it's union paid money, you know, about that. Me and him had a discussion about that. And he started asking me some questions about what do I have made out in my closet at home is union. What do they have to do with buying stuff that the members in this local work for in the local in 270? You know, it's just a personal attack against this local, and it's a shame that the international letting this guy here just run over those members like that. And it's going to steady happening to someone step in.
Now, is the international aware of the fact that he's buying using non-union painters and buying non-union clothing for the members?
Oh yes, definitely. Cause Alice Cohen let him know, and I let him know too. Both of us let him know, and this is what happened when we let him know. It's the personal thing, you know. He didn't feel no one should say nothing about that. There's other stuff that goes on that he knows wrong, and he knows those members need to know about it, but he don't want to let them know about it.
If the Labor's International is aware of these kind of tactics of Lujan, why are they allowing this to continue?
That's a good, I do not know. You know, this been going on for about a month and a half, where it's just been constantly attacks against, constantly stuff steady going on, totally against these members, you know, and the members have complained about it. Anytime we in a union meeting and he steps up in front of two of the members, I'm standing back to him talking to someone else, he tells the members, technically you're not merged with us. What that mean? You technically not merged with us. If we technically not merged with you, why is the big issue we trying to leave then? This is what I don't understand.
You had a right in your merger agreement to leave if you wanted to?
Well, what happened when he came up here that he came up here last year, and when we said it, he said it in front of over 60-something members, 60 to 70 members. If it don't work out in a year time, we could go back to 36. That's what he said in front of all those members up in there. Now, this ain't the first time. This ain't the second time. Since this been happening, he been going back on every word he said to these members. And you know, and the members told him don't have no trust in him. You know, and it's about trust. So that's what I was trying to get him to understand, but he don't understand that. No, his way or no way.
CIU for exactly the same issues. You know, negotiating bum contracts, not enforcing those terrible contracts, not doing any representation work, expense accounts were flying off the wall with no accountability by either the executive president, the executive director, or the staff director for San Francisco. So we mounted a decertification campaign because of these issues of non-representation. This is outrageous that unions are allowed to get away until this moment in time with you guys saying, hey, we're going to take it over. It's our union. You work for us. And this is exactly the member empowerment. I'm here to support you, because unless in this economy, in this day, in this society, the labor movement in the United States is going downhill, because we need to take these union overs by the members themselves. It's not them telling you what to do, it's you telling them what to do. And if they're not doing it, you take it over. And unless union members stand up and say no more, like you guys are doing, then I'm afraid that by the end of this 10-year period, we won't have union structure.
That's everything you said is definitely true. And you know, the members, like you just said, the members don't stand up to the business managers they put in charge that controlling these unions. This is what the union is coming to. You know, the members, the international should have stepped in and helped everyone with these problems. Because it's not only 270, it's other problems too. But if you step back and let one business manager run a whole local and ruin a whole local, what is this saying for the international? What is this saying for the labor movement? You know, you got that big sticker on the labor movement, be proud. What if you proud of? You got these men locked out of this union hall. What is to be proud about of being a labor? And we can't get no help, you know. This is not about me, Allison. This is about these members. And I told Carlos Lujan that sitting in this office several times. This is not about me, him, Alex. This is about the members, the whole body of the members, just not only him. You know, you got to set aside your personal thing when you got members involved and do the best interest for the union and the local.
These idiots change to win. Look at it.
Do you think this
Look
is
at it.
an example of change to win?
Just look at change to win. The Teamsters, the laborers, and the SEIU. And then go around and see who has the worst contracts and the most complaints. The Teamsters, the laborers, and the SEIU.
I'm here to vouch for that. He's right.
So you agree with that?
I totally agree with what he's saying. Change to win is really a change for you.
Change to win means more dues money for the guys at the top. The laborers are going to have a program where every working laborer is going to pay 25 cents an hour out of every dollar he makes. That's just going to generate $96 million a year for organizing. They've been doing organizing in California for approximately 5 years. I think we have 30 organizers. They haven't signed one agreement. Not one solid agreement. How in the hell are you going to organize when you're locking your own members out? When you can't get an international rep to come down here, send a lunatic like Lujan a letter, and open up a union hiring hall? How dare they talk about organizing? How dare they?
Change to Win really is the corporate collection of union dues. It's a machine. It's a corporate dues collection machine, nothing else. It does not represent, it does not negotiate good working contracts. It is actually the antichrist of the union movement. Trade unionism is dead under Change to Win.
What did they say in the SEIU when they wanted you to merge and join the Change to Win grouping?
They didn't say anything. They told us. They told us this was happening. Josie Mooney told us this plan was underway. We had no real democratic input or vote. Change to Win, I'm telling you, is the antichrist movement of trade unionism. And all workers, internationally, nationally, should absolutely wake up, smell the coffee, and rebel and say no more, and take their trade unionism motto back and live trade unionism and take it over. That's all I'm saying. Trade unionism is going to go downhill unless the union members take it over, and you need to empower each other to do it.
So you were surprised by what happened here. You're not surprised?
I am not surprised, because if they're under Change to Win, and that's just a program to collect your union dues and for you to shut up and let Andy Stern and the Change to Win honchos do what they want with your money and not do any representation, not really enforce contracts, and develop contracts that really honor the labor union movement, I'm sorry. This was no surprise, and unless people like these men take it over and decertify and develop their own union that really represents and encourages trade unionism and fair contracts, I'm afraid that the union movement's going to go downhill.
Were those your concerns inside the city of San Francisco with
Exactly.
SEIU 790?
Terrible contracts, no representation, no democracy. I think we should have one person, one vote when it comes to union, and there's nothing. Under SEIU, it's again Andy Stern operating a corporate top-down management dues collection machine, nothing else. Taking millions of dollars from us, and yet, at the same time, being in bed with management. I call him a corporate whore. That's all I have to say.
When I first came into the union, there was a lady there. She was a real sweet lady, Leslie, and she was gay, openly gay. And one day I was walking by her, and I said, "Hey, how are you?" And she said, "Pretty good." She didn't seem too excited, and I said, "What's the matter?" Because Brother Lujan and I were close friends. You know that. I mean, we've been to seminars and stuff together. And she said, "You're going to be sorry you ever came here." And so about a week later, she got fired. So I didn't know why she got fired, and so I asked her. And she said, "Ask so-and-so." And so then I asked somebody, and they said, "Well, Lujan had brought everybody into the room, and he's going to move to Texas. And he wants to be put on the local payroll as a consultant, be given a cell phone, and flown back from Texas once a month to attend the union meetings, and he'll do this for the mere $800 a month because he was going to retire." And then when she opposed this, she said, "That's not right." She got the boot. And
so
that's kind of how he works.
Well, so when you found this out, you also found out that apparently he was buying non-union jackets and non-union material, and
Well,
you raised that with him.
What I found out was that he went to Texas. I mean, he told me the building was going to be painted when he was in Texas. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, I went outside. I was going to offer the guys painting the building, some coffee, and they have, like pastries in the hall. So this is a big hall. This isn't a broke hall. This place has, I think he has $17, $18 million in assets. So I went downstairs to offer the guys painting the building. And I said, "Come on in, guys, get some coffee," and they were kind of like shaky, And so then I seen the name of the company, and I said, "What local are you guys in? Are you with District Council 16? And they said, "No, we're out of Oakland." And I said, "Well, District Council 16 is out of Oakland." I believe it's Massey's, you know, or somebody. And so then I asked the other guy, and so then one guy fessed up and said, we're non-union. So I went inside and I asked them, and everybody said, oh, you got to talk to Carlos, you know, the Secretary Treasurer, Joe Corona, and just acting stupid, you know, like they didn't know what was going on. And then they started talking to all the workers in Spanish, and everybody clammed up. So then it turned out they were non-union painters.
So this is a union hiring hall of the laborers in San Jose, and they've got non-union painters doing the job at the hall.
That's correct.
And they're part of the building trades.
That's also correct.
And are supposed to support union. Isn't that in the Constitution? You're supposed to support union brothers and sisters and support the labor movement?
Yeah, I believe it is in the Constitution.
But apparently he had a different idea about...
Well, yeah, and he kind of like acted silly about it, like he thought they were signed to a one-job agreement or something, you know. And he knew, I mean, they did the paint job for... When it rains real hard, it'll probably wash off because they got it done for next to nothing. And so I was kind of, you know, I said, you know, what are you doing? So then there had been an incident prior to that. There was a union picnic, and the Secretary Treasurer had 6 business agents peeling these made in China labels off these yo-yos. And I said, what are you doing, you know? What, you know, you think this is cost effective? You got 6, you could have spent the other 15 cents and got them made in America. And they just kind of gave me the cold shoulder. So then they were talking about they were going to get these union jackets and that. So I gave them a brochure of, you know, companies that make union jackets. And so the jackets came, and Lujan was in Texas again for Christmas. And it was time to hand them out, and there was like several boxes of these jackets, you know. So one of the guys said, oh, you know, your jacket's here, and you have to go across the street, and you have to sign for the jacket, you know, to prove you know, that you got it. So, you know, I was kind of like in charge of assigning the guys to hand out the jackets in the morning, you know, the business agents. So I went over to see how things were going, because there was a little bit of an uproar because the retirees weren't entitled to get jackets. They were going to get these other little bags, you know, like a travel bag. So I went over, and when I was over there, the one guy said, oh, you should get your jacket. So I signed, and they handed me the jacket, and I went across the street, and I opened the jacket up, and as soon as I opened it up, it said, made in China. So then I confronted Carlos about it one day, and he said, you know, he just kind of blew me off. So then I was in his office after that, and there was a black sweatshirt from the Santa Ana local. I think it's 886. It was a kind of nice looking sweatshirt. It had, you know, like flames on the side and Santa Ana, you know, well done, you know, good shirt. And so I picked it up, and I opened it up, and it said, you know, Bayside, made in America, Allied Sign and Display Union. It had the union label, you know, everything was, you know, because it had, you know, nice embroidery. And so I said, see, look at this. This is what you should have been buying, you know. So then he says, you know, if you want products bought in America, I might have to cut back around here. And I said, you know, and it got kind of confrontational, and I took it like he was threatening me with the job. And that's not.
He didn't want you to challenge him about the non-union.
He doesn't want anybody to challenge him about anything. And so I said, then I went in, and I was so mad and pissed off at him that I went in, and I had like 8 weeks vacation coming. You know, I had 4 from when I was with 36 before the merger, and the 4 with him. So I went in, and I just took a slip, you know, and it said, you know, date returning, and I said, I had enough of this crackpot. So I put not returning, retiring. And from there on in, he was just out to kill me. And all of these actions are nothing but retaliation against me. He called me back to work to help him with the transition. You know, they were apparently going to do it, you know, in an orderly fashion. He said, please come. Well, the International had sent an observer in to watch his meetings because they were not being run democratically, and I have a letter here that says that. So he asked me, he said, will you come back and help me if I have problems with the International? And I said, well, what do you want me to do? And we had a conference call scheduled that afternoon with the International at 3 o'clock. So instead of going at 3 o'clock, he thought he would outsmart him, and he came to my office at 9 in the morning. Or not my office, but the Daly City office, because I was on the out-of-work list. And he said, meet me in Daly City. So I met him, and he said, why don't you come back with me and all that? And I said, okay. I said, just for the transition. And when it's over, I'm leaving. I'm getting out of this business because you've done enough to me. So we went in and we called Rocco from the Daly City office and said, we're going to work this out ourselves, and the transition will be a smooth transition. And that was on the Thursday before the Super Bowl Sunday, which was the 3rd. So on the Monday when I went in, Lujan was sitting in the dispatch office with the dispatcher, Demas Cuevas. And he said, I said, hey, how are you? And he said, pretty good. He said, see the game? Yeah, great game and all that. So then I went upstairs and I started to get some calls and that. And it's about 7:30, the phone rang and it was Lujan. And he said, I want you to come to my office. So I said, okay. So I went into the office and he said, I'm going to have to fire you. I'm going to have to let you go. The international representative, Rob Trinkle, he told me you were a spy. And I said, a spy? I said, you're working overtime. I was just flabbergasted. I thought, this guy's nuts. And he said, you were working with Enrique Arguello. And I said,
he just had hired you back, and then
he hired me back on Thursday and fired me on Monday. But what he really wanted to do was get the international out of his office and then tag me. So he did that, and he got rid of me. And then after he got rid of me, he started attacking me, and it never stopped.
Well,
the
international has been under trusteeship. The U.S. Labor Department has been saying that they're going to clean it up. There's been a whole history of basically illegal activities, and it seems like this business manager Lujan is violating the Constitution and doing other things which are putting the union in liability and threatening the integrity of the union. Why is this continuing?
That's a good question, and we can't seem to figure out the answer to it. It's just, but you got to understand something. The United States government, as you said, was in charge of a cleanup team and all that, right? So they removed Arthur Coy as general president, and the plea bargain arrangement.
What did they remove him for?
They removed him. He got 5 Ferraris through a leasing company, Viking Leasing, and he didn't pay any tax on them. And he took a deal in Rhode Island. He was a mob puppet. It was in all the newspapers and that. So the mob puppet, he's still on the payroll today.
Even though
he's the president emeritus. And
so he's being paid by the union members, even though he's basically a corrupt union official?
Yeah. And nobody's ever locked him out of his office.
How could that be? Isn't it under government supervision? Wouldn't they have to
part
approve?
Of a plea arrangement with the United States government, with the Justice Department. The truth is he's a rat for the feds. That's what he is. Why else would they do that? Right? He's a rat.
So they allowed him to retire at how much money?
He gets about $225,000 a year.
For the rest of his life?
Correct.
And you're paying his salary?
Yeah.
Your dues are paying his salary?
And better than that, they banned him from ever attending any LIUNA functions. And at the last convention, he was sitting in the front row and stood up. They gave him a standing ovation.
So this
is the guy getting paid with the members' money that was removed by the government. He got a standing ovation.
Well, it seems like there's a disconnect between the interests of the members.
That's changed to win.
And the leadership of these unions. Is there a disconnect?
Absolutely.
Because when the union started in this country, when Local 136 started, the locals had the power. The locals had the authority.
Correct.
And since that time, it seems like the money is collected and it goes to these internationals.
It's the money and the politics with the Democratic Party and everything else.
Well, aren't the Democratic parties going to save the unions?
They may very well save these corrupt unions. A perfect example is I worked for there was a little laborers local in the Presidio that was trying to get a contract for over 4 or 5 years. And Nancy Pelosi appointed the Presidio Trust, and they wouldn't lift a finger to help those workers. Ever. And
so
last I heard, it was still going on when Chris Darker took them over.
So Nancy Pelosi was involved in helping to privatize the Presidio, and basically, as a result of that, the unionized laborers at the Presidio were not able to have a proper union and have seniority and that kind of thing.
Correct.
Why would she do that?
Who knows? Why would she have, doesn't she own a winery with people working in that aren't unionized, and they're questionable in their statuses and everything else? These people are rich people. They're used to exploiting poor people.
So this is business as usual.
Look, These guys who were locked out of this union hall, they're lucky to make $40,000, $50,000 a year. These guys make 10 times what they make. They got paid health, welfare, fringe, pension, everything that day. Carlos Lujan got that. Terry O'Sullivan got it. Rocco Davis got it. All of them. Guys who were locked out to pay their salaries. These guys paid their dues that week. They don't get nothing. When they're out of health care coverage, they have to pay for it out of their pockets. Tell me when these guys will be out of it. Never. Those are lifetime jobs. If it was, I think if you want to really clean up the labor movement, you should have a rule that the general president gets paid the same as the lowest paid worker in the union. And then that would motivate them to treat those people a little better.
So if they were paid the lowest rate, then they would be much more responsive to the interests of the rank and file.
Well, there would be parity in pay, wouldn't there?
Are you for a term limit too?
Yeah. Yeah, why not? It might clean it up a little. I mean, everybody can say, oh, that Alex, he's anti-union, he's this and he's that, but I predicted this a long time ago. 20 years ago, I said, if they don't change, the numbers are going to keep dropping and dropping and dropping. And now we're at 8%. It's the lowest it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting lower. And it's going to get lower when they take charters from little unions. Anybody who's smart would keep the little unions in business. They're no danger to you. They can't vote unless they have 300 members. They don't get a delegate. So they're in no chance of them attacking you at the convention. And they're always, a small union has to fight for everything so they know how to defend themselves. Do you get these big unions? All you'll see is Cadillacs and, golf bags and, that's how it goes. They got time for all that. They don't have time for the members.
Well, hundreds of millions of dollars have supposedly gone to organizing. Is the membership growing in that time?
Well, I don't know the exact number in California, what the magic number is on how much they've spent on organizing. But I'd really like to see, I don't think they signed one agreement.
So you're saying all this money, these millions and millions of dollars has been spent for organizing, and this seems to be the goal of Change to Win. We're going to organize, and yet in California you don't know one new agreement.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. They sent all their organizers out into the field to go to union contractors and ask them to sign the current collective bargaining agreement. Not any, and then when I seen the organizing thing, they listed them as new signatory contractors. They'd been signed for years. They just signed them to a different agreement. It's the same cast of characters, just a different agreement.
So it's a scam. Is that what you're saying that's going on?
What I'm saying is this, is that they're not doing organizing. Let me put it to you like this. Lujan, his union hall is here. 2 blocks down, there was an $87 million shopping center at Taylor. I'm not familiar with San Jose. Taylor and Coleman. All non-union. 2 blocks from his hall. Today, across the street from his hall, there's a $4 million prevailing wage job. Further down on Kirtner and Monterey, there's another $140 million project. Closer at Kirtner and Santa Clara, there's a huge condo, all non-union. What is he doing? He's following Will Davis. His organizers following Will Davis. His other organizers following Ricky Arguello. He's coming up to Daly City and closing down a local union hall. Nothing is being done about the non-union work. He hasn't even picked up the phone and called the organizing department to say, hey, send some of these people over here and let's
so
make
he's
some
really
headway.
not interested in organizing these other projects, as far as you can see.
He's interested in organizing a free box of cigars off somebody for giving him a job. That's what he's interested
Now,
in.
you had some experience with the Walmart in Oakland.
Yeah,
was
you
being
know
built
that.
there. What happened in that instance?
I was invited to come over to the Labor Temple on Hagenberger Road to meet with an old dear friend. He's departed now, Paul Radford. And Paul had invited me over. Paul he ran a trusteeship at one time in San Jose. And so he said, I want you to come over. I want to talk to you about some politics that's going on in the district council. So I went over there and met with Paul, and he said, let's go for lunch. So we were going down, and I said, Paul, pull over. I want to look at this block job. It's across the street from the Labor Temple. And I got out, and I started talking to all the people, and they said, this is a non-union job.
And this is down the street from the Labor Temple.
You could hit it with a rock. It's across the street. And he couldn't believe it. Radford couldn't believe it. So when we went back, the 3 organizers were sitting in the organizing office drinking coffee, and the 166 office was closed, and the bricklayers were closed, and nobody was picketing the job. That was the job, I think you remember, after I phoned everybody, they went out and got it. But I'm not competent to run a union, or the people that used to work for me aren't competent, but the other people are.
So they were building a Walmart there, non-union.
Across the street from the union office.
And
nobody even had a picket on it, Fraser Masonry.
Well, what's going on?
I have no idea. But in all fairness, when I contacted Jerry Morales at the organizing department, wasn't much Jerry could do because the job was up and running. Who I blamed were the local business agents for the hod carriers and the bricklayers in Oakland. But at any rate, after that, there was another job coming up in San Leandro, and Jerry did go out to the San Leandro job and make an attempt to organize it.
Well, the conditions of these non-union workers are very substandard. So these contractors are making. What are the conditions for a non-union?
Well, at one time, they were really bad for the non-union workers, for the non-union hod carriers, non-union carpenters. But today there's not much of a difference. The union jobs, it's wages. The wages are probably within $5.
So actually, there's been a decline in real wages for the union construction worker, and then driving to the job and everything else. It must be a horrendous situation if you have to commute, the cost of gasoline. I mean, the whole situation for a unionized construction worker, unionized hod carrier, is very difficult.
Well, it's very difficult for anybody, any member of any union. I think most of the folks today live in the valley, and gas is almost $4 a gallon, and they have to drive in here to make a living. But a lot of people don't, people don't want to live in Modesto or Stockton or wherever it is they come in from. These kids drive 180, 200 miles a day. And then they start work in the morning at, they start at 6 and they work till 4. I mean, these guys work hard. Anybody who works in construction, not just hod carriers and plasters and there's no easy jobs in construction. Everybody says, oh, look at those guys, they got it made. They don't got it made. There's repetitive motion injuries, there's this, there's that. The only repetitive motion injuries that union leaders get is for reaching for their wallets. They don't, what do? They run around, you've seen them giving speeches, we're going to charge up the hill, and then, we're waiting. When are we going?
So what do you
After you take our charter?
What do you see the future, Alex?
Don't ask me. I think really the way it's going, I used to think 10 years, I'm going to give them 6. Because they're so busy fighting each other over jurisdiction. They're like kids. It's like, we'll take the plumber's work the plumber makes 50, we'll do it for 25. So then somebody says, well, if they'll do it for 25, let's do it for 15.
And that's happening right now in San Francisco?
Not in San Francisco, San Jose. San Jose is terrible. 19 non-union jobs in a 2-mile radius it's unheard of here.
But at the hotel, isn't there a dispute between the plumbers and the local 39, the stationary engineers?
I think that's that other scab, what's his name, Calamar, that he's trying to take work from, organized
that
people.
they've normally done. That was a $30 million
Yeah, he's another
contract
bully.
for
I've seen him come in the building trades one time and get tough with some people. You can almost, anytime there's jurisdictional problems, you can bet you'll know who the unions are that are involved in them. It's just, there's so much, like when Brother O'Sullivan sent this letter out that I let you read to all our contractors today, they called and their attorney called and said, how do you feel about, if we have to reopen this agreement that we signed with you, we're abrogating it and we're walking away. And I think they're serious.
So that's the state of affairs.
Well, I think that since there's no more 36 within 5 years, there won't be any hod carriers. There'll be a couple of shops that keep the door, but the carpenters will just do what they want. Brother O'Sullivan had actually told Brother Porter from the district council to vote in favor of giving the carpenters a plasterers apprenticeship program. He said support them. He was on the governor appointed him.
And he's representing you. Okay, well, I want to thank you, Alex, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll continue this discussion and what the issues are facing your union and your membership. So thanks for
Thank you
coming
very
down tonight.
much. And I hope you get some of my rank and file members on next time so they can tell.
I'll do that. Okay.
Thank you
good.
very much.